Hi, my name is Priska Jabet Kendagor, and I'm a playwright based in Kansas City, Missouri. So I was born in St. Louis, Missouri, which is like opposing of Kansas City, Missouri. I know, there's like a rivalry going on. It's weird. But I came out, my mom and dad moved from St. Louis to California when I was, I think, 3 or 4 years old. And then from then, when I was 6, my father passed, unfortunately. And that's when my mother decided to move back here to Kansas City to raise us. And then we hopped another town, west, 45 minutes, and I did most of my growing up in Lawrence, Kansas, where I did like theater at the Lawrence Art Center. I worked with Rick Averill and the rest of them and stuff, and that's where I got my passion and my love for the arts and everything. I think I was 12 years old when I started writing my first play. 12? Yeah. It was for a creative art project. I thought I like telling this story because when I look at a book, my ADHD brain looked at the entire book and saw all these words. So I'm being asked to write a story using all these words. When I looked at a script, all I saw was name, line, maybe what they did in parentheses, go. Name, line. And so my mind was like, oh, it's easier to write a play. And that's when I started writing a play because I thought it was easier. I had a lot of it growing up with the coterie because even though we were in Lawrence, any theater event that was going, like kids theater event that was going on, we would come to Kansas City. So my first professional experience was also with the coterie. And that's when I did the health project, and that was like the door that kept opening up for me as far as like taking it seriously as a craft and everything. And I think I was like, I decided to focus my abilities on writing. I think like 7 years ago, when something just shifted for me, and I was just like, I'm a writer. Like, I can act too, like I can do the work, I can do all the things and stuff, but like my drive and my passion is like, you know, the pen and paper, and I'm a writer, and so I want to like hone in on that. Another thing about me that everybody in Kansas City, like if you have a conversation with me for a long period of time, knows that I have a stutter. I knew that my mother made sure that I knew growing up that just because you have a stutter doesn't mean you can't do theater. Kansas City has a real like appreciation for playwrights. And I'm speaking as a Black woman, mind you. Like if I say that, it's like, okay. I think that's a cool thing about Kansas City. We have a really tight-knit community. Like it's very community oriented. I like to write plays that are current and that are relevant to now. When I wrote Adulting, spoiler alert, one of the Rugrats is addicted to opioids. They're these kids as adults. And so like at the time I wrote that, the opioid crisis was very much a thing, still is, but like it was like at the forefront of the news. When I wrote Teen Money is Canceled, it was not long after R. Kelly and Fire Festival and Bill Cosby and like all these like men in power like getting like caught. My play that's in development with Casey Public Theater, there is the Holy Trinity, and it's a polyamorous love story, which unless you watch like Sense8, you don't really see much of that in the media. A lot of the polyamorous stories in the media are like sister wives or like, you know, female thruples, and it's always dramatic and like, but right now, like that's where I'm at. I'm writing this story about like, this is just a love story about 3 people, and you know, dealing with it, and what if it works out, you know? So I like to keep things like current. I've noticed. I think it's just like writing is like my journal a little bit, like that I make very public to the world. So I just like kind of like write like what I'm going through and like what I'm present to and stuff, and then I say, hey, someone else might want to read it or act it out, and yeah. I grew up in the charismatic evangelical church. I'll just say it. It's the church that birthed IHOP. This charismatic
IHOP is
House of Prayer. International House of Prayer. Yeah. If you're in Grandview, you know who they are.
not pancakes.
Yeah, not pancakes. But we landed there, and I remember there was just a lot of like dancing and jumping and excitement. So I was like, this is fun. Yeah, let's do that. 'Cause I was also still raised to be like liberal, but like personally conservative, but like big picture liberal and stuff. And so I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. So which created this interesting duality of like, I had my Christian friends, my camp friends, my church friends who would, mostly white, who would like, they were great, but they would make fun of me for my social standings. And then I had my liberal friends who were actually also great, but they would just be confused. Cause like, it was like, but why shouldn't somebody be able to marry who they love? Which now it's like, yeah, why shouldn't they? But like back then it was because the Bible. I was like, I began questioning everything when I was like 24, 25, including my stance on romance and like sexuality, all that stuff. And then 2016 happened. So faith deconstruction. If you're like deconstructing a house, like I was probably already like scraping off like the walls and like like hitting some things with sledgehammers. 2016, the presidential election was the fucking bulldozer. I was done. Because I had assumed that all these white friends, would have my back when the Klan endorsed somebody. I just assumed. Like they were up in arms about issues about abortion and and like all this stuff. So I just assumed, I'm like, oh, this guy like said he was gonna grab him by the pussy. Like I just assumed that they would have my back. Like I am a living, breathing person. I am here. Like you're not gonna vote for that guy because like look who endorsed him. And that was not the case at all. And I definitely questioned. I ended quite a few friendships. Well, they ended some friendships. It was definitely like a process. And I think people don't realize how much of a grieving process that was. And that was the year that I was like, this isn't me. And then from then on, like it was easier to write. It was easier to be myself. But like once all that was gone, I was free to just do what the fuck I want. And write whatever I wanted and date whoever I wanted. Yes, I'm very happy now. I'll just do whatever I want and not to have to apologize to anybody about it. So for me, pansexuality it's compared to like bisexuality and like vice versa and stuff. For me, pansexuality is the ability to be sexually fluid and free. I could not say, like, I think, again, I've known since I was 18, 17, but like probably like when I was 24, 25, I was like, I can't say I'm straight. I can't, I just simply cannot say I'm straight. I use all the words like straight but not narrow, like hetero-flexible, like all the things and stuff, but like really like at the time, like the term bisexual, like for me was like very like, the way I knew was very committed to. So I was like, what can I say? And I remember when I came out on Facebook as sexually fluid, because that made the most sense to me. A friend of mine who's very smart and very wise, he was like, so you're pansexual then? And I was like, is that? And when he said that, it resonated. Like it felt right here. And I was like, is that the word? He's like, yeah. And I looked it up and it's like, yeah, perfect for me. So I like the broad term would be like sexually fluid and everything, but like pansexual is the official term. And it feels good to me. It feels right. It feels right in my heart. He met me when I was like at the very beginning phases of my faith deconstruction, and so my plays were not very good. Let's just say that my plays were not very good. But he stuck with me, and he still sticks with me. He still mentors me and talks to me about like, gives me like really sound advice, and like he's probably like one of like the biggest influences, like positive influence in my life in this city as a playwright. Like he's fantastic, and I love Heidi Van. I love her. Again, another person who I feel believed in me before I believed in myself. And she's somebody who like has like, without even knowing that she taught me this. She taught me that you can have it all. You can have it all. You can have the kids, the family, the blah, blah, theater, everything. You can do whatever you want. And she's just this powerful, powerful woman. I don't think she knows how much I look up to her, but I look up to you, Heidi Van. But she's such, I mean, yeah, she's great. Yeah, it's like Heidi Van, Katie Gilchrist, as well as like a powerful woman who like knows what questions to ask you as a director, like as far as how to get you to where you want to go creatively. And like, I adore her as well. And yeah, it's been, yeah, there's a plethora of mentors out there. What does your board look like? Who's behind your table? Like, that's what matters. Because if everybody who's behind your table is cis, white, and male, yes, you are like, God, you know, God bless people. God bless their hearts. Everybody has a good intention. God bless their hearts. But you are going to think that ragtime is good enough. Because you don't even know what to look for. You don't know like who to look for as far as like writers. You don't know like I love Element. I think he's great and stuff. He is not the only Latin playwright in America. And he will tell you that, you know? And so it's about like when we say we want change, not just on stage, it needs to happen backstage. It needs to happen like on the board. It needs to happen like as far as writers go. It needs to happen as far as crew members go. Lighting. My lighting is very different than your lighting. That needs to be discussed. As far as COVID goes, I'm very curious because every pandemic that this country, that this world has seen, if you look at the history books, suddenly there's a change in theater. It never dies, which is something that I'm grateful for, and like I've been holding on to throughout the year. It's like folks have been like, "Is theater gonna die?" I'm like, "We're not gonna die. We've seen way worse than this. Like we're gonna be around forever." And so like but as far as like the change, I think I'm curious to see even smaller. If we're gonna have smaller, more intimate shows, even more intimate than we have now. It'll be very interesting to see the marriage of film and theater coming together. Because if there's one thing that I saw throughout COVID, including myself, I did this. Suddenly, folks who do only theater were in a position where it's like, okay, so now let's just do Zoom theater now. Let's do Zoom. Like let's do things through Zoom. And so now it'll be interesting to see if that continues to shift into the next era of theater, and to see how SAG and Equity get along, and like if they're gonna be okay with that, and like or if they're not okay with that, if we'll just do it because we are okay with it, you know. So yeah, I'm curious, and I'm also excited to see what's next. I'm currently the resident the resident playwright with Casey Public. I love working with them. They are very good people. They believe in me, and I believe in them, and like it's been a great working experience. Once the Holy Trinity is my next big project on the horizon as far as like getting on the stage and stuff, and so like we're still trying to figure out the dates for that as far as venues and stuff goes. But yeah, that's something I'm very, very excited about and proud of, and like I can't wait for it to be seen. Yeah, you join one of my shows, like you're family. You are absolutely part of my family.